Hello. We're just going to wait. Welcome to the webinar today. We're just going to wait another minute or two for folks to join, but we'll get going in just a second. And just a reminder that this is a webinar hosted by the City of Boston Environment Department on the Building Energy Reporting and Disclosure Ordinance Energy Action and Assessment Requirement. We'll get going in just another minute. Just want to make sure other folks have a chance to get on. And yeah, thank you. Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Ben Silverman. I'm with the City of Boston's Environment Department, where I help run the Building Energy Reporting and Disclosure Ordinance, also called BERDO. We are here today to talk about the Energy Action and Assessment Requirement for BERDO. Just so you know, just a quick overview of how this is going to go. I will be talking and just presenting on an overview for this requirement for the next 20 minutes. During which time you are welcome to use the comment section for this video to ask any questions that you might have. And my colleague Stacia will try and answer those questions as we go along. And at the end of my presentation, I'll go through some of those questions as well, and also provide any additional information as needed. So you have to sign into a Gmail or YouTube account in order to leave a question on this video. If you don't have access to either of those and wish to ask additional follow-up questions, we'll have our email addresses and contact information at the end of the slides for you to do so. And with that, let's get going. So, as a brief introduction, in 2013, the City of Boston enacted the Building Energy Reporting and Disclosure Ordinance, which, as many of you may know, requires that all larger buildings in Boston, above about 35,000 square feet, have to annually report their energy and water usage and greenhouse gas emissions to the city. The city then takes that data and makes it publicly available to everyone. After 5 years of a building being covered by the requirement, they must then show that they have been doing some form of energy actions or assessments to improve their overall performance or emissions. This requirement is meant to really help to spur action among Boston's largest buildings in reducing their greenhouse gas emissions, as well as the overall costs. Buildings in Boston represent about 75% of yearly greenhouse gas emissions, and about 50% of those emissions come from the largest buildings in Boston covered by the BERDO ordinance. So this requirement is incredibly important for the city to meet its carbon-free by 2050 climate goal, as well as meet the city's need to reduce impact on climate change. So there are three main pathways for this requirement: action, assessment, and highly efficient. They include, for the energy action portion, you have to complete any combination of energy efficiency measures, renewable energy installations or purchases for a building that helps to lower either its overall energy consumption or greenhouse gas emissions by 15% or more over the prior 5 years. For the energy assessment, you have to complete basically an energy audit by a qualified professional at any time in the prior 5-year period. And then lastly, your building could be certified by some form of third-party certification system that is already highly efficient. So the philosophy here is that in order to achieve citywide climate goals, we need to be seeing continuous improvement on building energy performance, which is the energy action portion. If that's not happening, then the first step to knowing how to do a lower your emissions is to do an energy audit of some form, and that gives you the tools in terms of recommended energy conservation measures to help lower your emissions by that 15% or more every 5 years. And if you have, continued to improve yourself and have reached a high standard of performance and get a certification or rated as such as highly efficient, then you get to opt out of future requirements. So walk through that a building only needs to complete the requirements for one pathway. You don't have to do all 3 or even 2, just one, and each one has multiple sort of subgroups within it. That whenever you need to show that you've completed this requirement by the May 15th of your 5th year of BERDO reporting, or 5 years after you first start doing BERDO reporting. And then you can get a 6-month extension upon request. We understand that this is somewhat a very large ask for people, so we want to be as flexible as we can with this requirement. All buildings covered by BERDO are required to meet this requirement after 5 years. But BERDO was implemented through a series of stages, going from the largest buildings to the smallest. And so for the first year of BERDO reporting was in 2014, and for non-residential commercial buildings greater than 50,000 square feet, and as such, the assessment is due in 2019, next year. To walk it through how that cycle works. 2019, 50,000 square feet, non-residential buildings or larger. In 2020, residential buildings are 50,000 square feet or 50 units or larger. In 2021, that's 35,000 square feet, non-residential buildings or basically between 35 and 50,000 square feet. And in 2022, 35,000 square feet or 35 residential units, residential buildings, and in between that and 50,000 square feet. And this is just sort of an overview of how that cycle looks out. I understand that this might be somewhat confusing for folks, so we're welcome to walk you through these cycles to make sure that you know when your energy action assessment requirement is due. We also have a full list on our webpage of when those due dates are, so that you're welcome to check and review. Just as a reminder, before you begin, compliance with the energy action assessment requirement means that you also need to be showing compliance with the other main portion of BERDO, which is the ENGI reporting. If you believe that you say missed 1 year of the past 5 for your BERDO reporting, or there might be some errors in your data that you want to correct, that's perfectly fine. You could resubmitting that data is perfectly okay. We have links set up, and we can provide those to you if you need it. So the highly efficient pathway, there's 3 main sub-pathways or certifications that we're looking for a building to demonstrate that they're so-called highly efficient. If you could be an ENGI Star certified. So the EPA's ENGI Star Portfolio Manager has an additional aspect where you get certified as highly efficient if you have an ENGI Star score of 75 points or higher. What we're looking for is that a building has received that ENGI Star certification for 3 out of or more of the previous 5 years. So you get certified for a specific year. Things to note, though, is that that ENGI Star certification is different than normal ENGI Star reporting. So folks have gotten confused about this bit, but the You annually report your energy usage through Energy Star Portfolio Manager, but only certain buildings can get Energy Star certified. It's not automatic. And within that, only certain types of buildings can get Energy Star scores. So the number of other building types that an Energy Star score is not available for, such as, movie theaters or stadiums. In those cases, we'll touch on a little later, but we are open to some alternative compliance pathways, just in case. Secondly is LEED. So the U.S. Green Building Council has a green building certification system called LEED. If a building has been certified as silver, so the 4 main categories of LEED: certified, silver, gold, or platinum, if you were certified as silver and higher, as well as also have achieved 15 points in the energy atmosphere category, that is a compliance pathway. Lastly, and this is probably the most sort of flexible, is zero net energy or carbon certified. That what we're looking for here is any form of third-party verification that shows that this building, either through some combination of a lot of energy efficiency, a lot of renewable energy generation or purchase, consumes the same amount of energy it utilizes in a year from renewable sources, so that it doesn't require energy from off-site sources, or it doesn't require energy from greenhouse gas emitting sources, or any sort of combination thereof. That if this building can demonstrate that to us, that is also a compliance pathway. That's the kind of ideal building that we want to see more of in Boston. We want to be doing all we can to encourage them. Just as a reminder, so only specific building types can qualify for receiving Energy Star scores. Those that don't, you can apply for, do not qualify Energy Star scores and do not qualify for any of the other pathways that are listed, such as LEED or zero net energy. They can, can show and demonstrate to us that this building is highly efficient compared to those in the sector locally or nationally. There's a pathway that we're allowing. So we've set up a variance request form, which I'll show you in a minute, that allows for any building that believes that they have fulfilled the philosophy and general outline of what these requirements trying to accomplish, but don't exactly meet this precise wording. They can put in requests for some variance, and which we will either approve or not approve of. But especially for cases of buildings without Energy Star scores, that's something, or not capable of receiving an Energy Star score, but are highly efficient within that sector. That's something we are very open to being flexible on. The second main compliance pathway, and something that we as a city want to be encouraging folks to be pursuing most directly, is energy action. Is a significant reduction in your greenhouse gas emissions or your energy usage over the prior 5-year period of 15% or more. Alternatively, you can also, if your building is capable of getting an Energy Star score, you can, if you have whatever points you have, if you have an increase in those points from, say, 50 to 65, or basically 15 points or more, that's also compliance route. Energy Star scores work as a system of 0 to 100, with 50 being roughly average, 100 being amazing, 0 being a low performer. So an increase in your points of 15 or more, that's also compliance route. To achieve that goal, we are open to a wide variety of types of energy actions. So you can either have done significant energy efficiency work on your base building systems, insulation, LEDs, all that, better, improved furnaces, all that great stuff. You have installed some on-site renewable energy, connect your building to cogenerations or district steam and get the efficiency benefits of that. Or you can purchase off-site generated renewable energy. This last pathway can also include renewable energy certificates or RECs that you would have to provide for you have to provide copies of those to us in order to verify. Lastly, if your building is part of a institution-wide master plan, or that has, in which the institution as a whole or the portfolio as a whole has seen a 15% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions over that prior period of that 5-year period, that's also a pathway. So this is specifically designed for those with large institutional campuses or with large portfolios of multiple buildings, that if you have developed a energy master plan and you're working to improve the overall energy usage of all your buildings across that portfolio, this route allows you to take advantage of, take credit for all that work, and kind of saves you some time on paperwork. So lastly is the energy assessment. So this is relatively straightforward. We're asking for the industry standard of an ASHRAE Level 2 energy audit that had been performed at any time in the prior 5 years. So this happened in 2014, 2016, tomorrow, the day after Thanksgiving, whenever, that is all acceptable. Obviously, it still needs to be performed by a energy professional of some form, and for buildings beneath or smaller than 50,000 square feet, an ASHRAE Level 1 audit or equivalent is also acceptable. We are also allowing for alternative energy audits. So ASHRAE is sort of the standard, but there are other energy audits out there in the industry that we all welcome for folks who have done and would like to take credit for. That those are allowable, but you do have to request that they be included. So we have an alternative audit request form that we ask that you fill out, making the case of why this audit basically fulfills the same sort of needs and goals of a usual ASHRAE audit, in that it provides a list of energy conservation measures, it provides a list of energy savings and cost savings, return on investment, and all that. But it's not exactly an ASHRAE audit. So that you fill out this form, we review, and the city will either approve or not approve. And if that audit is approved, then we will we'll continue to update the list of approved alternative audits or assessments so that other people can take advantage of that opportunity. As of now, we don't have any. No one's put in a request as of yet, but as requests are put in and approved, we'll make those all publicly available. And as a last note, that for the energy action, the energy assessment pathway, we do ask for a verification by a qualified energy professional. Those qualified energy professionals could be basically an ASHRAE professional, a certified energy manager, an energy auditor, a professional engineer with expertise in the energy audit and building performance areas. So, just so you know, this audit doesn't necessarily have to be a third party. It could be a member of your organization, but the person does have to have one of these forms of professional accreditation to prove their expertise. For exemptions, basically, if a building is vacant, if it's about to be demolished, or if the building is otherwise not meant to be covered by BERDO to begin with. So if it's too small, or or something to that effect, those are the main exemptions. And please, if you think that might be the case for your building, please let us know, and we will check to verify and potentially take you off the list. Extensions. Any owner that is in a form of significant financial distress can get a extension of up to 1 year beyond when the assessment or action is due. Otherwise, everyone else can just request an extension of no more than 6 months. Let us know if that's what you like, if you need an extension beyond the May 15th deadline. But yeah. So this is the last bit on the extraordinary circumstances idea that the variance request form is designed for. The BERDO requirement covers about 2,200 properties in Boston, and they cover a very wide range of building types, usages, ages. It's a very large diversity in types. Our goal here is twofold. We want to see continuous improvement in Boston's building performance to lower the city's emissions and meet our climate goals. Secondly, we also want to make sure that there is viable pathways inside these requirements to allow for everyone to have a reasonable way of achieving compliance, basically. And so the variance request form is designed for those buildings that have done something, that have either done some form of audit or some form of certified that they are highly efficient in the sector, or have done energy actions of a type that don't exactly meet the language of the 15% reduction or something to our effect, but meet the spirit that is going for here. So if you think that's the case, please fill out the form, please reach out to us, please talk to us. We want to make sure that everyone has a viable pathway to achieving this requirement by one means or the other. Maybe that means that you will need to do an energy audit. Maybe that means that you need to invest more in energy, offsite renewable energy purchasing or installation. It can mean many things, but the idea is that we wish to leave no building behind in this work and ensure that everyone has a pathway for compliance. And that's the core of it. So we'll come back to this slide in a bit, but these are the main websites, the main BERDO page, as well as the action assessment page, which we'll see in a second, and our all-purpose email address. But now we'll just take you over to those pages, just give you an idea what they look like. This here is the main BERDO page. Just type in boston.gov/BERDO. Scroll down, you can go straight to the action assessment requirement. Here you'll find a number of useful things, including this is a full list of all the due dates for this requirement. So please, click on that. Just show it to you real quick. So this here, this here will provide you if you're doing next year, if your action assessment is due in 2020, and so forth. So please make sure to check this list and confirm if your parcel or address is covered. Here is the energy action assessment main page. This includes links to the three main compliance pathways: the energy action, energy assessment, and highly efficient building. Check all the various links to check to confirm. So for instance, if you wish to complete an alternative assessment form, here's a link to it. Here's where you complete the audit, and then you submit the audit to the city. So all these lead to the same form. Oh, actually, also on this page, scroll up, is these two documents, which are the guidance document. This isn't just an overview of the straight requirements of the energy action assessment requirement, just so spelled out. And this is a more detailed how-to guide that we put together for folks to review and help answer some of the more frequently asked questions that we've been receiving. But when you come to the actual page, or the actual reporting form, one thing to note is that at this time, you will need to have a Gmail account or a Google account, either which of those are free to set up if you don't have one normally. We are working with the city's technical departments to try and develop a form that's more universally open for folks, but and sadly that won't be ready for some time. But for now, you'll need to just have to complete this form through what is essentially just a Google form. But the core of it is, so, you provide your email address, name, number. Make sure that your building address, so let's just say 1 Hall Plaza, this is very important. Please include your tax assessment parcel ID. This makes in confirming that a building is complied significantly more straightforward for us. You don't want to fill out this form and not be able to take credit for it. It's pretty important. And then for your normal ENGI Star Portfolio Manager ID, it should be easy to find online what that ID is. Please include that. And then you fill out the form. So in this case, let's just do quickly the highly efficient building exemption. In this case, if you are an ENGI Star, if you got an ENGI Star certification, just indicate that. You don't actually need any additional documentation. We can verify that next to the records you get from your normal building reporting. If you have done zero net energy or carbon, then we're all going to ask for either a copy of your certification or otherwise a greenhouse gas inventory for your building. And if you have done LEED certification, what we're going to ask from you in terms of additional documentation is a copy of your LEED checklist to confirm that you have the necessary points in energy and atmosphere. So that's one route. Let's say we want to do the energy action pathway. Here you should indicate by which measure that let's say we've reduced our overall greenhouse gas emissions by 15%. And after that, we need to indicate how. So let's say we did a bunch of energy efficiency projects, and then we also purchased some offsite renewable energy. As indicated, some additional documentation will be required. So in that case, for purchase of offsite renewable energy, please submit proof of purchase agreement, or the Green E certified recs for that. So in that case, you just go on, drop in the file for E certified recs, and you're good to go. And for lastly, the energy assessment, we indicate that ASHRAE level 2. Let's say this happened on, I don't know, Halloween, why not? And after which point then we need to upload a completed worksheet or copy of the energy audit report itself that indicates what the recommended energy conservation measures were. So we have a form that link is provided there that you can fill out with all the recommended energy conservation measures from this project. That's what the form looks like. We're looking for, category, envelope work, lighting, sub-metering, ventilating, all the sort of typical stuff, description, what the expected annual energy savings, the total energy cost savings, as well as just basic confirmation information. So all pretty straightforward, but we're happy to walk you through this if need be. Fill this out, upload it, and then confirm later on. Also, okay, that's the same form. But as discussed before, if you have unique building characteristics that mean that it's one of the other pathways aren't a viable route for you, here's the variance request form. There's links to it on all the web pages. What we're going to be asking is pretty much a lot of the basic same information: address, parcel, which pathway that you are meeting the general spirit of philosophy of, but aren't exactly. You just want to include that, and then we want you to provide us a general description of what exactly you're doing, why you need a variance, and we'll take it from there, and we'll start a conversation from there. And lastly, here's the alternative energy assessment form. So if you have done an energy audit or plan to do an energy audit other than an ASHRAE, this is a form to fill out to get approval that this is a recognized and allowable compliance pathway for you. Basically, same thing. Just want your contact information, the name of the alternative energy assessments, and a general description of what it is and why you think it's a reasonable alternative to a normal ASHRAE. And I think that's it for now. The one more thing to note is that we are offering office hours. People primarily between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Fridays. Give us a call, shoot us an email. This is a time we're specifically setting aside to answer questions about the energy action assessment requirement. But you can also feel free to reach out to us at any time and try to get back to you as quickly as possible. So right now, I don't think there's been much in terms of questions, but I wanted to kind of open the door. And if folks have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat or comment section, and I can address them now. And I'll just give it, people are typing. I'll just give it another minute or two, and see how it's going. Okay, well, I thank everyone for joining us today. Hopefully this was of help. We are also going to be making obviously these videos are going to be up on YouTube. We'll be putting them onto the BERDO webpage and, sending them out to folks. If you have any questions, again, here's how to reach us, and we're happy to work with you on this. This is, a very exciting time for building energy efficiency in Boston, and we look forward to be working with you on just that. Beyond that, have a great day and stay warm out there.